Hello guys, uh, I am Nitesh Chaudhary and this session is going to be about how to create a career in data science and machine learning. So let's start right away. About me, uh, my name is Nitesh Chaudhary and I am currently studying in my final year at SBTI Kanpur. I have previously worked as a data scientist intern at Samaru India, and I'm going to join United Health Group uh, subsidiary, which is Optum, uh, in the upcoming year. I have also mentored, you should say, machine learning project about computer vision in NJAC Winter of Code, IIT Patna. So moving on. So yeah, let us start with the most basic question, which is what is the difference between machine learning, data science, and artificial intelligence? So to start, I would say artificial intelligence is more of an abstract concept. For example, artificial makes machines do things at least as efficiently as humans. For example, you can have a system that can detect what particular kind of animal it is, or you can have a system which uh, which can help detect if someone breaks into a building. So that's artificial intelligence, making a machine do things which a human can do, but the machine using a machine you can do it in a better way or at least automate it. On the other hand, machine learning is the way to achieve this final result. For example, when you make a project about uh, an image classifier that tells whether it's a cat or is it a dog, so the tools or the algorithms that we use to create such a project will be called machine learning. So it's more of a subset of artificial intelligence. Deep learning is again more specialized version of machine learning, where you will use only deep learning algorithms opposed to you could use like linear or other algorithms. So not going too much into details. So talking about data science, uh, data scientist has to do a job that you should know what the algorithms need to do, but at the same time you should also be good at uh, identifying some patterns, plotting a lot of graphs, and making sure that the stakeholders or the managers or the client for whomever you are working, they understand what you are trying to convey. Because as a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, you are going to understand, uh, you can easily understand the graphs that which you drew, but to make it understand to the people who are have to make the decision, you have to make better graphs that easily tell a story and not just simply, you know, a graph just conveys information. And so basically you have to bring out the facts using graphs or using statistics and things like that. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so what is the role of a data scientist? Yeah, so uh, it is a field which incorporates projects where mostly you have to analyze data and then do some predictive modeling or create a system that can classify something. And most of the time, uh, even machine learning engineers also do similar things, but the only difference is a data scientist has to enable a company create data driven decisions, whereas a machine learning engineer is more gravitating towards creating a software that can do things. So here's the difference. Okay, coming to what a data scientist does. So the role of a data scientist is to uh, work on a machine learning project or data science project, where you will first of all uh, gather the data that you need. So for that you have to first decide which data to use, because uh, data collection is an expensive process, and if you make a mistake here, the project will end up in a bad state, and you will end up wasting a lot of money. So first you have to decide what data is to be used. The second thing is to how to gather those data. Yeah, then you have to extract insights from the data. So you will do a lot of plotting of graphs, which is also called EDA, explanatory data analysis. So then you have to identify some patterns. For example, you could see that so for example, you are selling a noodle, as in Maggie or something like that. So you have to see who your customers are. Like, for example, their gender, their age, which part of the country they belong to, and then you have to decide what are your strengths or your weaknesses. So if in one part of the country you are selling less, you can tell your decision makers that, see, this is what I have found, and uh, let's figure out ways how to work with these things. So third point is, help a company make data driven decisions using charts, graphs. So the same thing. You have to create a lot of charts and graphs, and sometimes you also need to create new metrics. For example, you need to show how two different products are working. So for example, uh, you have a television on one hand, of which the sales numbers would be low, for example in tens of thousands, and on the other hand you have a toothpaste. So obviously the sale of toothpaste is going to be more than the sale of television in a particular year. But to better understand which product is selling more or which product is growing more, instead of just plotting the numbers, you can plot, for example, percent change since the last month. Yeah. So coming to the point that you might be more interested in, a step-by-step guide how to start your career and get your first internship or a job. So first thing is to pursue introductory courses. So the course by Andrew Ng on Coursera is my all-time favorite, and is also recommended by most of the you can say mentors or influencers in the field. So yeah, first of all, you can do this course. If you are short on time, you can skip the assignments, but then you have to make sure that whatever theory you read, you have to at least make notes about it, and you can be sure that things that you learn with this course is going to help you for a long time. Other than that, you can go with fast.ai course. This is more practical than theoretical, so just see whichever you like, you can go with that. Other than that, you have Udacity courses on Udacity and Datacamp. The Datacamp one might be a paid one, so make sure you can pay for it and only then go for it. So once you do these introductory courses, make sure you do 2-3 mini projects on your own. And on your own, I mean no looking at the already made projects. You can Google how to do a particular thing, but that's the only way you are going to make it. You are not going to look at any other person's projects and how they did it. Next step would be you should join Kaggle, or you can make a personal project which is a bit more complicated. So for making a personal project, I would recommend at least working in a team of 2. If you do it alone, it's fine, but it's always best to find a partner when working with projects. That way you can make a better project than you could have made when you were working alone. Okay, so once you are done with these introductory courses, you need to pick up some very basic data set that you can make your predictions on. For example, there is one iris flower data set where you just have to you have the data of the dimensions of a flower, and then classify what kind of flower it is. And similarly, do 2 or 3 very basic projects that should ideally take less than a day for you to do, even if you are a beginner. Once you can do these things on your own, make sure once take a look on it, and then make the whole project without copying, because if you copy then you're not going to learn anything. So make sure you don't copy, and use your original ideas. Once you are done with those very basic projects, you can move on to Kaggle, where you can do this Titanic prediction contest and do the same thing that you did for the Iris dataset. Take a look at what others have done. First of all, just pick a very basic project or a solution, then try to implement it. Do not worry about your score or how good you are doing at right now, because the first step you need to complete is create a project that actually works. So I'm assuming that once you are done with reading others' work, implement it on your own and see what result you get. And do the same thing with this house price dataset on Kaggle. Once you are able to do everything on your own, like the complete pipeline from starting to the submission part, only then you can look at more complicated solutions and getting better scores, because your first step should be how to actually work with these datasets. Okay, so assuming that you have done, then you can make some personal project which could be on computer vision, like you can make some utility for a video camera, or you can make some food classifier, things like that. Do it on your own, and you can mention it on your resume, but only if you are confident about it. So that's why I'm saying that do not ever copy a project. So yeah, once you have done these basic projects, you can move on to creating a profile on Internshala and LinkedIn. So the benefit of creating a profile on LinkedIn would be you can follow those data science experts, and you would get to know all the things that are going on in the community today. And creating a profile on Internshala would help in you can filter by interest and see what exactly the companies today are expecting from candidates, so that further down the line you can choose the ones that interest you. So you have to have a clear direction in which you need to go. So for that, just keep looking on profiles and internships. The next step is to get out in the real world. So a lot of organizations like Girlscript Summer of Code, or Kharagpur's Winter of Code is there. Then there is similar program by IIT Patna. Make sure to join them. So the benefit of joining these is you get to work on a project, and you get to work in a community. So this would be something that you can mention on your resume, and also try to get some certificates in these similar programs. So if you are not an expert, you can so if you are not an expert, then you can get in contact with some more experienced people in this field with the help of such programs. And if there is no such program going on at that time, so you can just simply do a current or some previous competition on Kaggle, and also join some communities on Slack, Telegram, LinkedIn, where more updates can keep coming, so that you are in the know, and whenever something comes up you can at least apply. You can also take a more specialized course. For example, you can get a deep learning.ai course on Coursera, and similarly you can get some scholarship on Udacity. So make sure you don't keep just doing online courses, because just doing courses won't get you anywhere. Make sure that you do 1, 2 or at max 3 courses and then also create projects along with them. So for every thing you learn, you should have at least some mini projects on it. So moving on. So once you have done all these things, that you also have a project and you have done with some basic knowledge, and you are moving towards intermediate ones. So you can create your own project and mentor it in similar programs, the ones which I told you just now. Yeah, so once you are done with those intermediate things, now you can you have to do something that to make your profile stand out whenever you apply. So for that you can take up mentoring at one such similar program uh, which come up every summer or winter break, which could be by GulfScript or it could be by various IITs, and a lot of open source communities are there where you can create your project and mentor based on it. Or you can have a better profile on Kaggle which makes you stand out. So you should try to become a competitions or notebook master. Becoming a notebook master is a bit easier than becoming a competitions master, but if you can do it, yeah, it adds up a great value in your resume. Or you can also uh, compete in some hackathon by on Machine Hack on or HackerRank, uh, where you have a bit less competition than at Kaggle, because on Kaggle everybody is competing, and the competition is a bit tougher than these local competitions. So yeah, so once you have something on your resume that stands out, uh, now you can apply. You should go and apply for internship. Even a good project can make you stand out in your resume. So for getting an internship, the easiest way can be to reach out to someone you know in a field or on LinkedIn and ask them to refer you. Okay, so for an internship, you should apply on Internshala, because a lot of startups are hiring on Internshala, and you also get to know what kind of skills are needed. So make sure you keep applying on Internshala, and I guess in 2 months you should apply to 40 to 50 at least places, so that you can shortlist the ones based on your interests. Don't just do that you are applying on 5 companies, and if you don't get a reply, don't just sit. Keep applying. It will take a month or two before you reach any conclusive thing. And you can also keep looking for referrals, and for referrals you can contact the people who you know, and you can also ask people on LinkedIn to refer you. Just see what works. Okay, so coming to how I did it. So I started uh, learning about machine learning uh, in my in the summer break of my at the end of my second year. So at that time I did the course by Andrew Ng on Coursera, and then I kept on learning throughout that semester, which would be the fifth semester. And towards the end of the fifth semester, I had created this project called Ultimate Security Camp, and I made sure that I'd mentor it in some open source contribution programs going on. So I chose NJAC Winter of Code by IIT Patna, and mentored my project there. Also, I kept competing on Kaggle those days, and uh, I won a bronze as a silver medal on some notebook on Kaggle. So from January onwards, I started applying, because for getting summer internships you have to start a bit early. Actually, you can even start in as late as April, but the earlier you start, the better are your chances and better offers you get. So then throughout January, I kept reading on job descriptions and applying on it, and reading up some things or studying if I see that something is required from me and I don't know that. Also, Internshala works better than LinkedIn or AngelList, as in I got more replies from Internshala alone than all the other websites combined. So yeah, I would totally suggest going on Internshala because I personally know many startups that do their job postings on Internshala and they actually hire. Then for the selection process, let us assume that you applied on at 30 to 40 places and you got a reply from 5 to 10. Yeah, it can be less, it can be more. So during the assessment process, mostly these companies will contact you and give you some assignment to do. So make sure you do this assignment with complete honesty and give it your best, because even if you don't get selected, you are going to have some more experience and a little more of projects under your belt. So in my case, I directly got a phone interview by Samaru, and they asked me some conceptual problems and basics of data science, and I was also given a sample problem which was credit risk prediction. Basically, given these properties about a person, you have to predict whether to give this person a loan or not. So I was asked how would I approach this problem. So after getting an offer from Samaru, I applied at some other places also, but in the end I found that the Samaru seemed to be a better company than all those I had applied, so I decided to go on with it. So after applying to Samaru, I also looked at some other companies where I could join possibly, but after doing a bit of research on Google, I found out that Samaru was better of these other companies, so I decided to go with it. Then doing an internship is important because the project and the experience that you gain during the internship is going to help you a lot during interviews, because interviews can last up to an hour, and if you have a good project or internship experience under your belt, then you can tilt the interview in your favor, or you can say in the direction that you want. And it also decreases the chances of getting grilled during an interview, because if you are being asked on something that you have done, so if you have done it on your own and have read a lot about those things, so it would be harder for the interviewer to grill you. Okay, so talking about what to do in case you do not get a job offer from your internship, or if you do not have many companies visiting your campus that you think are good for you, so you can simply apply for an internship for your 8th semester, and more often than not they will have a PPO offer on the table. Otherwise you can try to win some ML competitions, or there are a lot of hiring challenges being done by various companies. You can, if you have a good rank in those competitions, you can easily get an interview from those companies. The third way can be you can try to reach the master level on Kaggle or other higher levels, and I have seen in many cases that if you have a really good Kaggle profiles, some companies would contact you yourself, and you do not need to do a lot of job searching. Okay, so some things that I need to tell you. So one thing is, these days a lot of companies would tell you that you pay us 10,000 rupees and then we will teach you machine learning, and then we will also give you an internship. So be aware of those schemes, because they are kind of scam in the way that they say that they are giving you an internship. It can be, it should be said that they are giving you a training. It's nothing bad in doing a training, but if you think you have required skills, just look for internships. And for an internship, you most definitely should get paid, even if it's a small amount. Yeah, so if you are the one who's paying, then it's a training and not an internship. And the importance of Googling skills. Yeah, this cannot be stressed enough. Uh, Knowing how to Google and find the thing that you are trying to find is a very important skill. And I have seen many times that people uh, just try to ask others how to do this, how to do that. Just make sure whenever you ask somebody on LinkedIn or somebody just Google it first. Okay, so talking about the tools and libraries that you need to know. The very basics ones: scikit-learn, matplotlib, pandas, and NumPy. So these are the ones that you need to be well versed in, at least, because every day a new library would come, and it's not possible for you to learn every one of those. And also, companies do not uh, require you to be uh, updated with all these libraries. All they expect from you is that you know these basic ones pretty well. So once you know these basics, then you can always upskill yourself and easily migrate to the newer one. So make sure that you know these libraries. The newer ones, if you want, you can learn, but they are not really necessary. Then coming to advanced libraries, there is TensorFlow, Keras, PyTorch. They are mainly for deep learning. So once you are comfortable with doing machine learning, if deep learning is what interests you, you can always learn these. About tools, there are not a lot of tools that you need to know. Just install Jupyter Notebooks and Python on the system and start working. Platforms, you can join Kaggle. Analytics Vidya has some good resources on different machine learning algorithms and how to get started. HackerRank, you can compete on, and they have some good problems for beginners. And then there is this website called machinelearningmastery.com. So once you are a bit of at a level of bit of intermediate, you can always visit this site because they have some really good material. Books, I personally do not prefer books for machine learning. I think online courses and doing projects is better. But if books are your thing, you can make sure to read this book, the 100-page ML book by Andrew Burkow. And once you are done with it, you can buy this O'Reilly's Hands-on Machine Learning. So coming to sample projects, the one I would talk about will be crop price prediction, which was by my work at Samaru. So the first step, as in any data science competition, is to gather data. So once you are done with gathering data, in our case, our sources of data were mainly government websites or some reports that are published on yearly basis. So once we had the data, we had to look for some interesting patterns. For example, if rainfall is low, then can we expect this crop's area to grow up, or what happens when there is harvesting season? So when there is harvesting season, the crop's price always goes down. So with the help of these insights, we can always help the farmer make a more informed decisions about when to start growing their crops, and if they can get a better price if they put their produce in a cold storage unit instead of just selling it directly to the market. And we also saw that a lot of factors are there that can influence the price of a crop, which include rainfall, weather, ecology of the region, and things like that. So finally, we created a predictive model using ARIMA, which is mainly used to predict stocks or time series data, which is seasonal in nature. The other sample problem would be spammy username detection. This is a task by two weights. So it is more of a NLP problem, which is natural language processing. So the first thing that we need to do is label the names which are spam or not spam. So many times websites can have some names that are spam, like anyone can name themselves as Hunter or use their gaming names that they usually use, but on a website or an app which is educational in nature, you requiring serious names or real names is quite important. So to tackle these problems in the app, which is users which are having spammy names, so once we have this labeled dataset, the names, so on one hand we have names which are genuine, and on the other hand you have fake names. So like any machine learning problem, you need to have features. So in this case, the feature space is really low, so you only have names. So first of all, from these names, you need to create n-grams. N-grams is basically different subsequences of a string. So for example, you have the word Japan. So if you make a 3 gram out of it, you will get JAP. Then the other n-gram would be remove the J, would be APA. The other one would be PAN. So similarly, you will get these n-grams. So a similar problem was solved by LinkedIn, where they created a model to identify spammy usernames. So in that case, they used a naive Bayes classifier to classify these spammy names. Some things to note would be that the number of genuine users will be much more than, say, the number of non-genuine users or the spam users. So you can have a class imbalance, like you could have a 90:10 ratio of spam and of non-spam and spam usernames. So make sure that you have to make it 50-50. There can be two ways to do it. You can either reduce the number of samples which are genuine, so you have now 10:10, or you can increase your samples so that you have a better balance, so it could be 90:90, and likewise. This session ends here now, so thank you for joining. If you have any doubts regarding this thing or how to create a career in data science, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to help. See you.